Here we are going to look at some of the most fascinating ancient shipwrecks, from opulent pleasure barges to the underwater battlefield that marked the end of the First Punic War. The Nemi ships were two massive Roman vessels built under the reign of Emperor Caligula in the 1st century AD. These were luxurious floating palaces, outfitted with intricate mosaics, marble floors, and plumbing systems that rivaled those found in the grandest villas of the empire. The purpose remains debated. Some believe they were pleasure barges used for lavish parties, but given the religious nature of the lake, they likely played a role in the religious rituals dedicated to the goddess Diana, whose temple stood nearby. For centuries, these ships remained hidden beneath the waters of Lake Nemi, a volcanic crater lake south of Rome. Local fishermen knew of their existence, occasionally snagging their nets on submerged debris, but the ships themselves remained elusive. Renaissance scholars took interest, and in the 15th century, attempts were made to retrieve artifacts using crude diving bells. However, it wasn't until the early 20th century that serious efforts to recover them took shape. Under the orders of Benito Mussolini, who saw the recovery as a testament to Italy's engineering prowess and imperial past, a massive project began in 1929. Engineers devised a method to drain a portion of the lake using pumps, gradually lowering the water level to expose the ships. By 1932, both ships had been recovered. The largest ship was 240 feet in length with a beam of 79 feet. The other ship was 230 feet long with a beam of 66 feet. Once salvaged, the ships were housed in a specially built museum on the lake shore. For a brief time, they stood as a testament to Rome's engineering brilliance, drawing scholars and tourists alike. But their rediscovery was short-lived. In 1944, as World War II raged, the ships were destroyed in a fire. The retreating German army was initially blamed for deliberately setting fire to the museum, but subsequent and modern investigations point towards the museum being hit by Allied artillery shells. Whether it was an act of deliberate destruction or an accident during the chaos of war, the result was the same. The ships were lost once again, this time consumed by flames. Today, only fragments of the remains exist, along with a handful of recovered artifacts housed in museums. The ships of Nemi, once a marvel of ancient craftsmanship, were ultimately doomed, not by the depths of the lake, but by the fires of war, leaving behind only echoes of their former grandeur. The Doko shipwreck, discovered in 1975 off the coast of the small Greek island of Dokos, is considered the oldest known shipwreck in the world. Estimated to date back to around 2200 BC, during the early Helladic period, it provides a rare glimpse into Bronze Age seafaring and trade. Unlike later shipwrecks that leave behind remnants of hulls, there are no remains of the hull left, and evidence of its wreckage consists solely of its cargo, scattered across the seafloor. The ship itself has long since disintegrated, leaving behind only traces of its existence. Between 1989 and 1992, the Hellenic Institute of Marine Archaeology, HIMA, carried out an extensive excavation of the Doko shipwreck, marking a milestone in underwater archaeology. Under the leadership of Dr. George Papathanassopoulos, HIMA's president, this became Greece's first full-scale excavation of an ancient shipwreck. Over the following years, systematic excavations were carried out, revealing a vast collection of ceramic goods. The Doko ship's cargo is remarkable both in volume and diversity, featuring an extensive range of ceramic types. Among the finds are deep-spouted sauce boats in various shapes and sizes, cutaway jugs, shallow and deep bowls, amphorae, plates, cups, as well as household utensils. It stands as one of the most extensive collections of early Helladic ceramics discovered to date, showcasing the advanced ceramic craftsmanship of the era just before the adoption of the pottery wheel. The cargo from the wreck of the Doko ship can be seen at the Spetses Museum. The Dokos wreck is the oldest known shipwreck, but there are no more remains of the hull. Here we will look at the oldest known shipwreck where the hull is intact. The ancient shipwrecks of the Black Sea, discovered by marine archaeologists in recent decades, represent some of the most astonishingly well-preserved vessels from antiquity. Unlike shipwrecks found in other parts of the world, these ships, some over 2,000 years old, have high degrees of preservation due to unique conditions of the Black Sea. Below a certain depth, the water is anoxic, devoid of oxygen, which prevents the decay of organic materials like wood, rope, and even human remains. The discovery of these wrecks is part of a broader project led by the Black Sea Maritime Archaeology Project, which began surveying the seafloor using advanced sonar and remotely operated vehicles. What they found exceeded all expectations. Dozens of ships, spanning from the classical Greek and Roman periods to the Byzantine era, lay undisturbed in the depths. One of the most remarkable finds was a Greek trading vessel from around 400 BC, which is the world's oldest intact shipwreck. The vessel remains fully preserved, with its entire hull and cargo buried beneath the sediment. Its deck structures are still intact, including a mast that extends approximately 36 feet and its cargo still sealed inside the hull. The design closely resembles the ships depicted on ancient Greek pottery, with a long, slender hull and a high prow. Given its excellent state of preservation, it provided unprecedented insights into ancient shipbuilding techniques. Because of their location and fragility, these wrecks had not been erased. Instead, they are studied in situ using high-resolution imaging technology, which allows researchers to map and analyze them without disturbing their state. The images captured reveal a maritime history that was previously only known through literature and art. The discovery of these wrecks offer researchers valuable insights into the technological advancements and trade networks that shaped the Black Sea during a time of significant political, social, and economic change. By analysing the ship's construction methods, scholars have been able to trace developments in maritime craftsmanship and commercial exchange. The Uluburun shipwreck, discovered off the coast of Turkey in 1982, is one of the most significant archaeological finds of the Late Bronze Age. Dating to around 14th century BC, the wreck was located near Kos by a sponge diver who noticed unusual objects on the seabed. When archaeologists began exploring the site, they discovered astonishing cargo that reshaped the understanding of ancient trade networks. The wreck contained a wealth of goods from across the ancient world. The ship's cargo held copper ingots from Cyprus, tin from the Near East, Canaanite glass, Egyptian ebony and ivory, Mycenaean pottery, and even a gold scarab inscribed with the name of Queen Nefertiti. The sheer variety of materials suggested a vast international trade network linking the Eastern Mediterranean, Egypt, Mesopotamia, and the Aegean. This was not a simple merchant vessel, but a high-status cargo ship, likely belonging to a powerful ruler or wealthy trader. The ship itself, though largely decomposed, was identified as a wooden vessel built using a shell-first technique. Its planks were joined with mortise and tenon fittings, a method that would later become characteristic of Greco-Roman shipbuilding. The scattered remains of the ship and its dispersed cargo suggest it once measured between 49 and 52 feet in length. It was constructed primarily of cedar, a prized material for its durability and flexibility. Though the exact trade route remains uncertain, it likely travelled between the Levant and the Aegean, carrying goods that would have supplied palaces and the elites of the time. Over the course of a decade-long excavation, archaeologists recovered over 18,000 artifacts, making the Uluburun shipwreck one of the richest underwater archaeological sites ever studied. The cargo offered a unique snapshot of Bronze Age commerce, revealing how interconnected civilizations were long before the rise of classical empires. What caused the ship to sink remains unknown. Whatever the cause, it came to rest deep beneath the sea, preserving its cargo for over 3,000 years. Today, many of the recovered artifacts are displayed in the Bodrum Museum of Underwater Archaeology in Turkey. The Gela II shipwreck, discovered off the coast of Sicily near the town of Gela, is one of the most intriguing maritime finds of recent years. Resting beneath the Mediterranean for over 2 millennia, this ancient Greek vessel, dated to around 5th century BC, offers a glimpse into the bustling trade networks of the classical world. What makes it particularly fascinating is the presence of orichalcum, a rare and mysterious metal mentioned in ancient texts, most famously in writings about Atlantis. The wreck was first detected by archaeologists in 1980, but it has only been in recent years that significant excavation has taken place. It is one of 2 ships found near Gela, both believed to have been merchant vessels involved in long-distance trade. Over the next several years, maritime archaeologists carefully excavated the site. Alongside the orichalcum ingots, archaeologists have discovered Corinthian helmets, amphorae, and pottery. Orichalcum, described by ancient Greek writers as a material second only to gold in value, has long been a subject of speculation. Some believed it was only purely mythical, while others suggested it was a type of bronze or brass alloy. The ingots discovered from the Gela II wreck were analysed and found to be composed primarily of copper and zinc with traces of nickel, lead, and iron, indicating that was likely an early form of brass. This discovery confirmed that orichalcum was not just a literary invention, but a real material traded in the ancient world. Its cargo suggests that it may have been transporting valuable metals and other goods between Greek colonies in southern Italy and the wider Mediterranean. Today, the artifacts recovered from the wreck, including the orichalcum ignats, are preserved in Sicilian museums. The Battle of the Aegates was a naval battle fought in 241 BC between Rome and Carthage. The battle between the two fleets involved more than 500 ships and ended with a decisive victory for the Romans. It was also the decisive naval battle that ended the First Punic War, which had lasted for 23 years. For centuries, the battlefield remained lost beneath the sea, until archaeologists uncovered the wrecks of warships that had once clashed in a brutal struggle for dominance over the Mediterranean. The discovery near the Aegean Islands off the coast of Sicily provided an unprecedented look at ancient naval warfare. The search began in the early 2000s when a team of underwater archaeologists using advanced sonar and submersibles located a series of artifacts scattered across the seafloor. Among the most significant finds were 24 bronze rams, or rostra, designed to smash into enemy hulls. These heavy, solid bronze weapons, affixed to the bows of warships, bore inscriptions that identified them as Roman. Alongside the rams were helmets, amphorae, and other debris. Polybius reported that the ships involved were quinqueremes, the dominant warships of the era. These large, oared vessels were fast, maneuverable, and built for ramming. A quinquereme could carry around 300 rowers and additional marines for boarding, but each of the rostra recovered would have come from a quadrireme, suggesting Polybius' account isn't accurate and it's likely the navies consisted of ships of mixed classes. The battle itself took place after years of war between Rome and Carthage, with both sides exhausted from decades of conflict. The Roman fleet, under the command of Gaius Lutatius Catullus, intercepted the Carthaginians as they attempted to resupply their forces in Sicily. The Romans had better trained soldiers, while the Carthaginian ship's maneuverability was hindered by the heavy supplies it was transporting to Sicily. I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Odd Historian. If you'd like to support the channel and access exclusive videos, check out my Patreon. And don't miss this video about the only recorded instance of a submarine sinking another submarine while both were submerged. See you next time.